Всем привет, дамы и господа, с вами Алекс Заренко. Топ-20 неспортивных моментов в профессиональном спорте. Watch моджо. Мукбанг React. Kiss with Skittles. Начинаем.
You're in the heat of the moment, you know, things happen. You know, unfortunately, it's spilled over into the stands.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for the dirtiest and most inappropriate things ever seen in mainstream sports.
Казалось бы, ну, американский футбол, ну, блядь, ну, что там может быть не спортивно? Ну, накидываются мужики друг друга и чё?
I think Branislav Ivanovic is
Суарес.
insinuating here that Luis Suarez bit him.
Мне нравится, что он улыбается.
Which is insinuating here that Luis Suarez bit him.
Number 20, Shaq and Dudley.
О, Шак!
But Dudley is now
У
joined
него свои мармеладки есть. А я люблю мармелад.
with Shaq and threw the ball in his direction. Man, if you want to pick somebody to go with, you go right to the head of the class when you go after Shaq.
No, this isn't a fun buddy cop movie. It's one of the most famous incidents in basketball history. It occurred on March 28, 1999, during a game between the Lakers and the history. It occurred on March cop movie. It's one of the most famous incidents in basketball history.
Был удар
It
от Шака.
occurred on March 28, 1999, during a game between the Lakers and the Knicks. Shaq dunked on Chris Dudley and then shoved him to the ground, his massive frame sending Dudley sprawling like a ragdoll. A visibly frustrated
Очень длинный рэгдоу.
and embarrassed Dudley then stood up, grabbed the basketball, and whipped it at Shaq as he jogged away.
Но он все равно в него не попал.
Both actions went against the values of the NBA, with Shaq physically taunting his opponent and Dudley responding with like-minded aggression. Both were handed technical fouls, and both were labeled unsportsmanlike in their behavior.
He just overpowers him, and he comes down,
Короче, им досталось обоюдно. Обоюдно.
and then he shoves him right there. They've called a technical on Shaq on that play, and then a technical on Dudley for throwing the ball.
Number 19, the Martin Incident.
Ball is long gone. What
Это рестлинг!
is this? Wow, man.
Блять, не в тот спорт пошел.
Now that's ridiculous. He should be out of the game.
American
Wow, man. Now that's ridiculous. He should be out of the game.
American football
Желтая, блядь, тебе.
is full of dirty hits, but there are few quite like the Martin Incident of 1986.
Понятно.
It refers to Packers defensive end Charles Martin.
У нас, конечно, есть регби. Я всегда вспоминаю, что Матч ТВ показывал, ёпта, это. Женский американский футбол. Продержался он недолго.
Who committed a dirty tackle against Bears quarterback Jim McMahon. Long after McMahon had thrown the ball, Martin grabbed him from behind and
Мне понравился вот этот подскок. Бу. Испугался? Не бойся, я друг.
Jim McMahon. Long after McMahon had thrown the ball, Martin grabbed him from behind and suplexed him to the ground.
Он споткнулся, что ли?
McMahon had thrown the ball, Martin grabbed him from behind and
Да, об свою ногу. Я помню, один раз об свою ногу споткнулся, кувыркнулся. Блять, было больно. Это было во время веселых стартов у нас на футболе.
suplexed him to the ground, worsening his already torn rotator cuff. McMahon needed surgery.
Могло быть и хуже. Слава богу, все обошлось простым.
Worsening his already
Он мог его вообще перекинуть, блять.
torn rotator
Слава богу, все обошлось. Все так же хуёво, но, блять, могло быть и хуже.
cuff. McMahon needed surgery and was out for the rest of the season. As for Martin, he made the history books. first player ever ejected for a violent act, and first player to ever be suspended for an on-field incident. The hit was so filthy that when Bears offensive lineman Jim Covert retaliated with a dirty hit of his own, the refs declined to penalize
Все правильно, блядь.
him.
Well, we expected the rough stuff here, but we didn't expect to
Да мне кажется, никто, блядь, не ожидал, что там будет нахуй рестлинг.
see something quite that flagrant.
Number 18.
Блядь, этот чел, который кинул бы еще, блядь, на трибуну, забрался на третью трибуну и сбросил его нахуй.
Barry Hall wallops Brent Staker.
Hall off the ball. Hall's, oh! Barry Hall has whacked behind play. That is ridiculous, Barry Hall. He has...
Так.
Hall's, oh! Barry Hall has whacked behind play. That is ridiculous, Barry Hall. Off the ball. Hall's, oh!
Надеюсь, не прилетит от Ютуба за насилие там, это.
Barry Hall has whacked behind play. That is ridiculous, Barry Hall. He has smacked Staker in the head, and he will be reported.
A very
И это чел как Зидан сейчас. На.
popular player of the Australian Football League, Barry Hall is considered one of the best forwards in modern history. Regardless, he has been at the center of numerous one of the best forwards in modern history. Regardless,
Ебать, он хотел хук ему зарядить.
he has been at the center of numerous controversies, like punching Brent Staker. Regardless, he has been
Раз,
at the center of numerous
два,
controversies, like
три.
punching Brent Staker straight in the face. Hall was frustrated and tangled up with Staker, so he threw an arm backwards towards Staker's head. This did not have the intended effect, so Hall simply turned around and punched Staker in the jaw. You can practically see his eyes roll back into his head, and he was taken out of the game. Justice came for Hall. He was severely reprimanded by the AFL tribunal and received a 7-game suspension.
I'll tell you what, the look of Brent Staker's eyes after the impact is not going to do Barry Hall a whole
Ебать, там спонсор, PlayStation. Это выглядело не как обычный футбол. Ага. Просто, блядь, 20... Я увидел число 25, такой, чё, блядь? 25? Ебать, они там, конечно, забивают.
lot of good.
Number 17. Chase Utley.
О,
Impact is not going to do Barry Hall a whole lot of good.
Number 17.
это было умышленно.
Chase Utley breaks a leg.
Utley got off in a great secondary lead, and he gets right there to break up the double play.
Didn't even start sliding till he was even
Бля, он такой, бля, сейчас перепрыгну.
with the back.
И в него вкатывается этот чел.
Having long been criticized for his aggressive base running, Chase Utley committed the cardinal sin on October 10th, 2015. It was Game 2 of the National League Division Series, and Utley's Dodgers were losing 2-1. A double
Сейчас вернусь.
play was about to be performed by the Mets to end the inning, but Utley performed an egregiously late slide and kicked the legs out from under Ruben Tejada.
Бля, прикинь, такое бы в рестлинге сделали.
He broke the double play and Tejada's leg. Yep, his right fibula
Yep.
was fractured in the collision, and he was never quite the same again.
Прикиньте, врач вам так говорил. Еп, у тебя повреждение второй ноги.
Utley was suspended for 2 games and became a permanent rival of the Mets, even
Еще бы не стал.
being thrown at by Noah Syndergaard the following May.
Did he just kick him out? He threw behind Utley. Did they just kick Syndergaard out?
Ну-ка.
Kick him out? Did he just kick him out? He threw behind Utley. Did they just kick Syndergaard out?
Number 16. Trevor Chappell bowls underarm.
We're going to go an underarm.
Ебать, столько пришло людей посмотреть на это.
They haven't believed it. And that's a disappointment. They haven't believed it.
That's a disappointing finish.
When the Prime Minister of New Zealand calls something the most disgusting incident he can recall in the history of cricket, you know, something
Я вспомнил, как это называется.
bad went down. He's
Who's bad?
referring to the underarm incident of 1981, which occurred during a cricket match between New Zealand and Australia. To prevent New Zealand from scoring the 6 required runs to win, Captain Greg Chappell told his brother Trevor to deliver the last ball underarm. While not illegal at the time, this throw was highly frowned upon and betrayed the competitive spirit of the game. The incident left a lasting stain on the reputation of the Chappell brothers and Australian cricket, and underarm bowling in such contexts is now explicitly prohibited in the laws of cricket.
Let me just tell you what I think about it. I think it was a
Срочные новости. Удар под мышкой.
disgraceful performance from a captain who got his sums wrong today, and I think it should never be permitted to happen again.
Number 15. Todd Bertuzzi sucker punch.
О, вообще, захваты за футболку тоже порицаемы в футболе. Ну и, блядь, ну в хоккее такое делать?
Punches Steve Moore.
Steve, I just want to apologize for what happened out there. But I had no intention on hurting you.
Я хотел всего лишь сейчас хватить за... Как это? За джерси.
And I feel awful for what transpired.
One of the nastiest plays in hockey history occurred on March 8th, 2004, when the Canucks were playing the Avalanche. Canuck Todd Bertuzzi was goading Avalanche player Steve Moore into a fight, but Moore simply ignored him. This angered Bertuzzi, so he grabbed Moore's jersey and sucker punched him from behind. The hit instantly knocked out Moore, and his limp body fell face first onto the ice. The results were horrific. He received facial lacerations, suffered from amnesia, and worst of all, broke his neck in 3 places. Luckily, Moore would not face lasting physical injury, but his career was over. Bertuzzi's punishment extended beyond injury, but his career was over. Bertuzzi's punishment extended beyond
Слава богу, все обошлось.
hockey. He was brought up on assault charges and was given probation in 80 hours
Нихуя себе, срок даже дали.
of community service.
Have you ever spoken with Todd Bertuzzi?
No.
Will you ever, do you think?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't give it much thought.
Number 14. The many freakouts of John McEnroe.
Hey, I saw what you did to those guys who were making fun of you. Nice work.
You know what it's like to get riled up, don't you, Johnny Mac?
That I do.
Much like golf, tennis has always been considered a gentleman's sport, with very strict rules against noise, excessive celebration, and emotional outbursts. John McEnroe's noise, excessive celebration, and emotional outbursts. John McEnroe threw that rulebook straight in the garbage. McEnroe was an intense player, known far and wide for his fierce anger and intense blow-ups.
Это прям злодей тенниса.
Throughout his career, McEnroe often engaged in arguments that went beyond simple frustration, with long, heated diatribes aimed at umpires, linesmen, and even spectators. If he wasn't screaming abuse at umpires, he was smashing his racket to pieces or intimidating fans,
Надеюсь, у него хватает денег, чтобы покупать новые ракетки.
or being disqualified from prestigious Grand Slam events. McEnroe was the resident bad boy of tennis, and the people loved it.
Вау, что-то интересное происходит.
Right on the line. No mistakes so far in this match, right? You haven't overruled anything. No mistakes whatsoever.
И все замолчали. О, сейчас пиздеть будет.
Answer my question! The question, jerk!
Number 13. Albert Hainsworth stomps on Andre Gerard.
Right there.
Oh my gosh.
That's uncalled for, man.
That is unbelievable.
Exactly 20 years after Charles Martin suplexed Jim McMahon, the NFL issued its second multi-game suspension for an on-field incident. It came at the expense of Titans defensive tackle Albert Hainsworth, who committed an egregious act on Cowboys center Andre Gerard. Gerard had fallen to the ground in a play act on Cowboys center Andre Gerard. Gerard had fallen.
Блять, это больно. Кстати, блядь, я сразу вспомнил фразу, которую мне говорила мама насчет сестренки, типа, нельзя переходить, иначе не вырастет. Хуйня какая-то эта фраза.
Into the ground in a play and his helmet had come loose. According to some sources, Hainsworth may have even ripped it off. Regardless, Hainsworth then stomped on Gerard's unprotected head with his cleated shoe, opening a massive gash that required 30 stitches to close. This cut missed Gerard's right eye by mere inches. Hainsworth was suspended for 5 games and may have even faced legal penalties, but Gerard declined to press charges.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, defense.
Он решил его пожалеть.
Number 92 for stomping a player's helmet.
Number 12. Dale Hunter blindsides Pierre Turgeon.
Dale Hunter follows with a cheap shot.
Dale Hunter blindsides Pierre Turgeon.
Dale Hunter follows with a cheap shot. Turgeon out 4 to 6 weeks with a separated shoulder and a concussion.
New NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman promised to make the
Теперь у нас работает Бэтмен, блядь.
game safer, and he looked to make an example
Я представляю эту презентацию.
of players who committed egregious acts of
Надеюсь, со своей зарплаты он купил себе новый Бэтмобиль.
violence. His first target was Capitals player Dale Hunter. The Capitals were playing the Islanders in the 1993 Patrick Division semifinals when Islander Pierre Turgeon stole the puck from Hunter and scored a goal. Embarrassed and angry, Hunter hit Turgeon from behind and sent him into the board. Turgeon separated his shoulder and missed most of the playoffs, while Hunter received the longest suspension in NHL history at the time, missing 21 games.
Блядь, почти месяц.
Dale Hunter, your buddy's in a little trouble for cross-checking Pierre Turgeon last night and separating his shoulder. Turgeon is gone for the playoffs.
Блядь, мне нравится его лицо.
Cross-checking Pierre Turgeon last night and separating his shoulder. Turgeon is gone for the playoffs.
Well, is he?
Well, that's the word out of New York.
Yeah, word out of New York. He might be back for the next series.
Number 11. Vontaze Burfict.
Блядь. Ну, учитывая то, что это американский канал, почему бы тут и не быть нескольким случаям из американского футбола?
Goes helmet to helmet against Jack Doyle.
Little game rewind in this one. Vontaze Burfict tossed out of the game. You see,
Как будто прям в рестлинге просто летит на него нахуй.
Jack Doyle, the tight end, had made a catch. He was down on the ground, and Burfict leads with his helmet and makes helmet-to-helmet contact.
Considered one of the most controversial football players of all time, Vontaze Burfict has long been criticized for his aggressive play style and dirty hits. It all culminated in the longest suspension in NFL history, which he received in Week 4, in the longest suspension in NFL history.
Что это, блядь, было?
Which he received in Week 4 the 2019 season. Colts tight end Jack Doyle had just caught the ball when he was plowed into by Burfict, who initiated helmet-to-helmet contact. Intentional hits of this kind are highly illegal, especially considering the prevalence of CTE in football players. Burfict was essentially fired from the NFL as a result. He was suspended for 12 games, and despite
Сука, блядь. Я уверен, что эти шлемы-то еще не легкие, блядь.
becoming a free agent in 2020, he has never been picked up by another team.
The league has suspended Burfict for the rest of the season. The NFL says Burfict is suspended without pay for the remaining 13 weeks of the season and any playoff games for repeated violations of unnecessary roughness rules.
Number 10. Kermit Washington nearly kills Rudy Tomjanovich.
Fractured jaw, broken nose, and a skull fracture that was supposedly so severe that he could taste his own spinal fluid.
On the night of December 9th, 1970,
Чего?
So severe
Настолько сильным
that he could taste his
чувство вкус собственной спинномозговой жидкости, ёб твою мать.
own spinal fluid.
On the night of December 9th, 1977, Lakers player Kermit Washington delivered one of the most vicious punches in sports history. A scuffle
Ты вообще хуй разберешь, что это? Это баскетбол? Это волейбол?
broke out between the Lakers and Rockets, and Washington punched Tomjanovich in the face. The blow could be heard throughout the stadium, and players described the sound as a melon splatting against concrete. The results were horrific. The entire bone structure of Tomjanovich's face was shattered, with his doctor comparing it to a cracked eggshell. Spinal fluid was also leaking into his
Ебать.
skull capsule and mouth, and Tomjanovich could reportedly taste the fluid as he was taken off the court. Luckily, he made a full recovery, despite serious doubts from his surgeon.
The team realized how severe this injury was when the surgeon asked Rudy if he could taste anything in his mouth. When he said he could, but it tasted bitter, the doctor knew that that was spinal fluid leaking from his
У нас в медицинском обучают. Мы пробуем там разные жидкости.
brain, and this was truly an emergency.
Number 9. The Black Sox scandal.
I love baseball ever since Arnold Rothstein fixed the World Series in 1919.
The name Shoeless Joe Jackson is synonymous with baseball, yet he's not in the Hall of Fame. Ever wonder why? The story dates back to 1919, when 8 members of the Chicago White Sox conspired with gangsters and gamblers to fix the World Series. Of the Chicago White Sox conspired with gangsters and gamblers to fix the World Series. The heavily favored White Sox lost the series to the Cincinnati Reds, and many reporters at the time immediately deduced that something was fishy. They were right. The 8 members had received bribes and had intentionally thrown the games with bad play. Many people believe that Jewish mob kingpin Arnold Rothstein was behind the scheme, but this
У него есть как раз таки деньги от этого игрока.
has never been proven. Regardless, the 8 players
Какие деньги? У меня и так дохуя денег. Зачем мне брать от него деньги? Да вы шо? Так не... Так и что?
including Jackson, were banned from baseball and made ineligible for Hall of Fame inclusion.
Getting thrown out of baseball was like having part of me amputated.
Number 8. Lance Armstrong cheats and lies his way to 7 titles.
Some breaking news now on Lance Armstrong. The global governing body of cycling has just announced moments ago it will ban Armstrong for life and strip him of his 7 tour titles.
Короче, не прокатило.
Lance Armstrong turned cycling from a relatively niche sport into a worldwide phenomenon in
Я про этот спорт узнавал по новостям с Первого канала в блоке новостей спорта.
the early 2000s. With major sponsorships and worldwide news coverage, he dominated
Я видел там спонсор Coke. Coca-Cola.
his way to 7 straight Tour de France titles. But despite the universal acclaim and prestige, allegations of titles. But despite the universal acclaim and prestige, allegations of doping haunted him
Он пьет допинг.
like a ghost. Many people accused the cycling sensation of using PEDs, but he
Чего? Чё за хэ? Он использовал PDD? She knows. Ой, блядь. He knows.
continuously and vehemently denied it.
Не-не-не, я не был на вечеринках PDD, и у меня в бутылке не масса Johnson's Baby.
Fans were on his side, and the accusers were made pariahs. Of course, they were eventually vindicated when the United States Anti-Doping Agency proved that, yep, Armstrong was doping the entire time. His titles were stripped. He was banned from all future cycling events, and his name became synonymous with unsportsmanlike cheaters.
This guy seems healthy. Loves cycling.
Yes, so did Lance Armstrong, and he turned out to be a lying drug user. Or a hero. I don't know where we stand on him now.
Number 7. Marty McSorley hits Donald Brashear.
Oh, it appears that Donald Brashear is bleeding from the nose.
Marty McSorley ended his career with Donald Brashear. You could make a folk song out of that. McSorley played in the NHL for nearly 20 years, but his career and reputation were permanently tarnished on February 21st, 2000. The Bruins were playing the Canucks, and with just under 5 seconds left in the game, McSorley whacked Brashear in the head with his stick. Brashear
Это тоже пиздец, но 5 секунд, сука!
fell backwards and hit the ice, suffering both a seizure and a grade 3 concussion. McSorley was charged with assault. McSorley were playing the Canucks, and with just under 5 seconds left in the game, McSorley whacked Brashear in the head with his stick. Brashear fell backwards and hit the ice, suffering both a seizure and a grade 3 concussion. McSorley was charged with assault with a deadly weapon, got 18 months probation, and never played in the NHL again. And with
Всё, я не хочу больше играть, блядь.
With that, 2 decades
12 месяцев я отдохнул и дальше нахуй не буду играть.
worth of goodwill went down the drain.
I think Marty, in all fairness, he was trying to tap him in the shoulder, but, you know, you're very responsible for your stick, and this is not good.
Number 6. The Zinedine Zidane headbutts.
Ooh, that's gotta hurt worse than getting a birthday telegram from Zinedine Zidane.
Yes?
Bon anniversaire.
Hundreds of millions tuned in to the 2006 World Cup final to watch Italy defeat France. But their win was grossly overshadowed.
Прикольная песня Зинедин Зидан. Там просто в куплетах просто идут имена футболистов. Зинедин Зидан. Зинедин Зидан.
Shadowed by the infamous Zinedine Zidane headbutt, which is what all anyone could talk about in the months following the game.
Ну он там про его жену сказал.
Zidane was running with Italian player Marco Materazzi when the latter
Насколько я знаю, он тоже грязный игрок.
grabbed Zidane's jersey. In response, Zidane turned around and headbutted Materazzi straight in the chest. He was given a red card, making him the
Ну попробовал. Угу.
first
Я его прекрасно, блядь, понимаю. Ну, я, конечно, маму и сестренку не оскорбляли, блядь. Но когда ты, блядь, рассказываешь о своем YouTube-канале всем своим одноклассникам, это, блядь, было глупо. Никогда, блядь, так не делайте.
soccer player to ever be ejected from a World Cup final in extra time. The incident was widely parodied in pop culture, and Zidane became the poster boy for unsportsmanlike conduct.
He's just headed Materazzi in the middle of the...
Ну, кстати, он станет, возможно, новым тренером сборной Франции, так что...
chest. What was Zidane thinking?
Блять, и тут новость. Ради ЧМ по футболу бьют 3 миллиона бродячих собак.
Вы чё, ебанулись все?
Пиздос, блять.
Zinedine Zidane to the chest. What was Zidane thinking of?
What is Zidane? Что это было?
Zinedine Zidane's career
Видишь мою футболку? Видишь эту карточку? А я одного цвета.
ends with being sent off in the World
Ну и ладно. Одного цвета так одного.
Cup final.
Number 5. The Malice at the Palace.
The ugliest moments in NBA history. A black eye on the league that changed security guidelines at arenas around the country and altered the future of 2 franchises.
It's not often that fans get directly involved in a fight, but they certainly did during Malice at the Palace. The date, November 19th, 2004. The place, the Palace of Auburn Hills, home of the Detroit Pistons. With just 45 seconds left in the game, Pistons center Ben Wallace shoved pacer Ron Artest after being fouled. A fight then broke out on the courts, and fans decided to get involved. A fan threw a drink at Artest, causing him to storm into the crowd and attack the wrong person. Fans defended that person, players defended Artest.
Бля, он как... Грязный футболист. Эрик Кантана.
And all hell broke loose. Police were called in order to quell the near riot, and when the dust finally settled, 10 people were called in order to quell the near riot, and when the dust finally settled, 10 people were charged.
Он столкнул ее?
In order to quell the near riot, and when the dust finally settled, 10 people were charged with assault, including 5 players.
Security trying to somehow restore order. Fans and players are going at it, and the players trying to help each other out.
Сразу Литвин и Баста вспомнились, да?
Number 4. Luis Suarez takes a bite, or 3.
Suarez does. He does exactly that. That is quite incredible and pretty disgusting.
Incredible. Disgusting.
You know, in that whole incident, I think Branislav Ivanovic showed admirable restraint.
У меня чай, блядь, остынет.
Despite being called one of the greatest strikers of all time, Luis Suarez
El Pistolero
has a terrible reputation for his on-field behavior. Many fans, players, and analysts have accused him of diving, and he had been caught biting other players on no less than 3 separate occasions. He bit Otman Bakel while playing for AFC Ajax, resulting in a 7-game suspension.
Там в одной ситуации он укусил кого-то за расизм.
He bit Branislav Ivanovic during a Premier League match, 10-game suspension. And he bit Giorgio Chiellini in front of millions during the 2014 FIFA World Cup, 4-month ban from all soccer activities. As a result, Suarez is now regarded as one of the dirtiest all soccer activities. As a result, Suarez is now regarded as one of the dirtiest soccer players of the modern era.
It looks to me, dare I say it, that he's had a little bite at Chiellini.
Surely not again.
Sure not.
Surely not again.
Number 3. Eric
Вспомнишь говно, вот и оно.
Cantona goes kung fu fighting.
The lad came down and gave him apparently dog's abuse. And he just thought, no.
И он, блядь, пожалел об сказанном. Эрик Кантона въебал ему ногой.
You're not getting away with it.
GTA 5 RP.
Attacking fans is a huge no-no, but no one gave Eric Cantona the memo. On January, it's a huge no-no, but no one gave Eric Cantona the memo. On January 25th, 1995, Cantona gave Eric
Вы простите, но тут важная для меня вещь.
Cantona the memo. On
Sega.
January 25th, 1995, Cantona's Manchester United were playing Crystal Palace when Cantona was sent off by the referee. A Palace fan named Matthew Simmons then left his seat and confronted Cantona as he was walking off the pitch. Incensed at Simmons' words, Cantona delivered a flying kung fu style kick against the fan and followed it up with a flurry of punches. Simmons was fined £500 for abusive behavior, and it's
Алиса, 500 фунтов в рублях.
62 700.
Охуенный штраф, блядь.
believed that he used racist language against Cantona. As for him, he was fined £30,000, banned from soccer for 8 months, and sent 2 weeks in prison. Although
И опять Литвин вспоминается. Правда, у него там 15 суток было. 7 плюс 7. Да, тоже 2 недели.
this was later changed to community service following an appeal.
Just kind of taken aback by what you're seeing. You see him kind of launch himself into the crowd, and you're like, wow.
Number 2. Tyson bites Holyfield.
We go back in, then all of a sudden...
Кстати, у Майка Тайсона тоже есть свой мармелад. Да.
Бумагами, наверное.
Там, где у нас есть возможность заработать.
Привет, у тебя...
То есть это наркотический мармелад?
You bit this here, and I just, wasn't it the same one? No, it's a different. It's a different.
Бля, я подумал, это Тайсон.
Different here.
The 17,000 people crowding MGM Grand Garden Arena maybe didn't get their money's worth with this fight, but at least they got to witness one of the coldest incidents in sporting history. Evander Holyfield was handily beating
Бля, ну не обрати внимания на лицо. Там же это его фирменное.
Mike Tyson, who was left frustrated both at his poor performance and some headbutts, whether intentional or not, from Holyfield. His temper boiling over, Tyson bit Holyfield on the
Извините, это выглядело забавно.
not from Holyfield. His temper boiling over, Tyson bit Holyfield on the right ear and tore off a piece of cartilage. The fight was allowed to continue, only for Tyson to once again bite Holyfield, this time on his left ear. That was it. Tyson was disqualified, and the ear bite went on to become a staple of pop culture for decades to come.
You do that one more time, I'm taking a point off. You hear me?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
Он сожрал его? Он ест и руку потом ест.
Before we continue, be sure option to be notified. The attack on Nancy Kerrigan.
Nancy Kerrigan, the American figure skater who is widely considered
Вот, блядь, где не ожидаешь пиздеца, так это в фигурном, сука, катании. Максимум травмы, окей. Но...
the favorite to win a winter
Не вот это.
Olympics gold medal, was attacked at a practice session for the U.S. Figure Skating Championships.
Who knew that the world of figure skating was so cutthroat?
А я о чем?
Nancy Kerrigan was a successful skater in the early 90s, and she threatened the career of Tanya Harding. While successful in her own right, Harding was always overshadowed by Kerrigan. On the afternoon of her own right, 90s. And she threatened the career of Tanya Harding.
А, это все из-за зависти, блядь.
While successful in her own right, Harding was always overshadowed by Kerrigan. On the afternoon of January 6, 1994, Kerrigan was struck in the knee by a man named Shane Stant, who was wielding a police baton. The attack was eventually traced. Afternoon of January 6, 1994, Kerrigan was struck in the knee by a man named Shane Stant,
Кто это, блядь?
who was wielding a police baton. The attack was
Да.
eventually traced to Sean Eckhart and Jeff Gillooly, the then husband of Tanya Harding. They hoped to injure Kerrigan, thereby increasing the prospects of
А просил ли об этом Хардинг?
Harding at the upcoming Olympics in Norway. It's unclear how complicit Harding was in the attack itself, but she accepted a plea deal after covering
Вот так надо, блядь. Правильно, правильно.
it up and was banned from figure skating. But she accepted a plea deal after covering it up and was banned from figure skating.
Once I
Покаталась, сучка.
was banned from figure
Ладно, на самом деле... Ну, блядь, ну... Может быть, это не твоя вина.
skating for life. I didn't have a lot of options. For life. I
Я иду в бокс.
didn't have a lot of options. Did what I had to do to just stay in the public eye and pay the bills.
Did you happen to see any of
Нет, ну, бля, просто про удар Зидана все знают.
these live?
Те, кто смотрит футбол, те, кто интересуется футболом, все знают про удар Зидана, блядь.
What was your reaction?
Похуй. Типа, Зидан обоснованно это сделал. Ну, то, что Майк Тайсон и его соперник стали продавать мармеладки, это забавно. Ставьте лайки, подписывайтесь на канал, жмите на колокольчик, чтобы не пропускать новые видео, пишите комментарии, летайте в телегу. С вами был Алекс Назаренко. Всем спасибо за просмотр, всем пока.